Voice direction.
Push the button, Mike.
Hey, we are live. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in to the BAMF podcast. Here is our contractually obligated musical intro. And that assures you, gentle viewer, gentle listener, this is a high quality, high production values podcast. Only the finest, farm to table, ethically sourced. Look at Bear. He's already over this already.
Cruelty free.
You have any idea how loud that is in a headset, Mike? No, you don't, because you just do.
It is pretty powerful
where you are. It's robust.
All right. Hey, the crafting gamer.
Hey, TCG, what's up, man?
All right, so before I introduce everybody and we suck all the energy out of the room doing introductions and whatnot, we're talking about inspirations for RPG settings. And I'm going to throw it out there, like, what is one book or movie that, lives in your brain and keeps showing up in stuff that you write? And Owen, I'll start with you.
Krull, which I'm not going to say is a great movie, but I personally love, and it is a very gameable movie with a lot of stuff you can take and grab out and use for gaming.
I had never actually watched Krull until you recommended it to me, and shortly after that I went out and purchased it because it's a very good movie.
It's a great film of fantasy. It is not necessarily a great fantasy movie, but it's got a lot of neat ideas, and ideas are more useful to me for inspiration for gaming than a solid plot or good acting.
Well, checking Appendix N of this wonderful game, look at that. Krull, 1983 on the list of film influences. Oh, who knew?
Hey, how about that? You guys have something in common.
Good looks aren't everything.
Hey, look at what
this game. Yes, this game. Which it's lovely Jacob cover.
Go today and buy your copy of Valorous.
Valorous.
Seriously, it's $20.
I'm a consummate professional. I have created a tiny URL to get you straight to that book. tinyurl.com/ValorousRPG. You can pick up the bare bones edition of this beautiful.
Is that the PDF or the print? Is that Amazon or is that Drive-Thru-RPG?
It's Drive-Thru-RPG.
Okay, you don't want you can buy it $9 for a PDF. It's a great deal. You get the updates. We're doing the errata right now. It's fantastic. $20. Look at it. Look at it. This $20. $20 on Amazon, print on demand, shipping. You got Prime all over the world. But PDFs, old men in there. PDFs. I'll get you the link, Mike.
And
the nice thing about PDFs is that my shelves don't break under them.
Well, the good news is I have better shelves.
It's got this
buying garbage shelves because of the amount of the stuff. I have a shit ton of books, brother.
Yeah,
I just learned that buying garbage shelves was not the way to go, and I went for the stable IKEA ones.
I've got two Galaxies over here, the old-fashioned actual hardwood ones, and then I've got solid oak bookcases on the other side.
And they're breaking under the weight of books. My God, man, buy lighter books. What can I tell you to say?
Mine are particle board, man.
Particle board? No. I've had that happen.
Hey, I've had them for several years now, and they haven't broken yet.
If your bookshelf has a piece of cardboard for the back, you need a better bookshelf.
I came home from work one day.
I need all better bookshelves.
In my office, and my books were all over the floor because the top shelf, the particle board, snapped, and it just caused the cascade effect down through the whole thing. I was like, I can't blame the cats for this. Like, anyway.
I will note there you go. I gave you the link during earthquakes, but we have those in Oklahoma now. So,
we have them in Montreal rarely, but they come.
Hey, Darrin.
Yes.
What's one book, movie, or TV show that lives rent-free in your brain and has continued to influence what you create?
Okay. I can think of about 3 off the top of my head, so I'm just going to pick one, and that one is going to be Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
Or more specifically, I guess I'm going to go with Fellowship of the Ring.
Yep.
That's a safe choice, but I like it too.
I know, like I said, I can pick 3, and that would be the most appropriate one. And then you get off into some branches that are still important, but I'm not going to mention them in case somebody else wants to.
All right, fair enough. I should mention, Darrin has worked at Wizards of the Coast. Currently, he's working at Darrin Drader Productions, and you can find his latest campaign setting for the 5th edition of the world's most popular role-playing game at Drive Through RPG. Let me share that beautiful cover.
It's Darrin Drader Designs, not Darrin Drader Productions.
I'm
So I get that out there so that if somebody wants to look it up, they can actually find it on Drive Through RPG.
You can remember it because they all start with D.
Exactly. Triple D, man.
And that's a nice Dean Spencer cover.
Mm-hmm.
Original or one of his pieces that's available?
It's one of his many pieces of wonderful stock art, and I grabbed it when it was like brand new. So
he does great stuff, man. Trust me, I've used him before.
He absolutely does.
For Final Age has it. So,
if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have art.
He is one of 3 artists that I am signed up at a high level on their Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Jacob is another artist that I am signed up at a high level on their Patreon.
And I need better stock art for covers.
Say what?
I need better stock art for covers. I have a lot of stock art that's useful for interiors. I need more stock art that can be used for covers.
Dude, I'll tell you what stock art to draw for covers.
Hey, send me a list.
Because, everyone's using Dean, and at some point, once you see stock art too many times, there needs to be someone else who's doing stock art you can use. So, all right, Andrew.
What?
I'm looking at your PDF. Sorry, it's a PDF. I'm not downloading.
That's okay. It's okay, old man. It's okay.
That new technology of killing books, killing trees, and making them into books.
Kill all the trees. Anyway, what's your thing?
I was going to ask you the same question. I am looking at your list of inspirations for Valorous, and there's a lot of cool stuff. But for sake of conversation, what is one specific movie or TV show or book that lives rent free in your?
Normally, I would say The Belgariad because it has such a huge influence on me. But in this case, I'm going to say Battle Chasers.
Battle Chasers.
Yep.
Joe Maduro. Tell me you know what Battle Chasers is like.
Such a good comic, and it's such an interesting take on fantasy, and it really does mix all the stuff I like about fantasy, except for the tech. I hate sci-fi in my fantasy, but that's okay. It's there, but it's acceptable.
I so loved the art and the story and the characters for Battle Chasers. Yeah. I wish it had continued.
It did. They did 12 issues. It's finished the first 12, and now they're getting ready to do a second series.
I am very.
It's Joe Mad. It's Joe Mad. We'll all be dead before the second series comes out. In fact, no. Yeah. George R. R. Martin will release his next installment before this comes out. But hey, it's coming.
that is unfortunately my problem. Is Madura is.
So what you're saying is the end of time will come before the end of time comes.
Yes.
Jordan Maxwell, is that his name? The guy with Wheel of Time. Jordan. Whatever.
Robert Jordan.
Robert Jordan, thank you. He will pop out of the grave, fully reanimated, and write 10 more Wheel of Time books before we'll see the second series of.
I mean, he's already written a couple Wheel of Time books after he died, so he's on the right track.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a chance. That's my point. There's a chance.
Oh, I'd forgotten this existed. This was that comic from Image in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay. And it was so good.
It was great.
And then he went to work in the video game industry and didn't write comics for a long, long time. And now he's done it.
He was making real money.
Yes.
Getting some of that video game money. I gotta tell you, everyone knows who in video games right now has been laid off in the last 6 months. So
the deuce, you say.
I spent 2 years doing video games.
How'd you like it?
It sucked. I hated it. I'm going to be honest.
Lots of crunch time, or lots of
I didn't particularly care for the product. I didn't particularly care for the people I was working for. I didn't particularly care for the story, which was my job to be somewhat in charge of. I got to say that, and the way that things crashed and burned at the end and left everybody high and dry, I wouldn't recommend it.
I would say the limited amount of work I did in video games I enjoyed, but because of the company I was working with, they were really young and fresh and not into exploiting people. They were into actually working and getting shit done and stuff. So that was kind of fun. But it was also like 2001, 2002. Like, it was before this crazy industry took off. So I don't have a 20-year less reference point to go on. So I'm just going to go with I had fun and leave it at that.
All right, now, Jacob, what is one piece of media that lives rent-free in your brain and has influenced what you do?
if I could capture one piece of media for my design, I would try and emulate for how colorful it was and the fun and the soundtrack, the 1980s Flash Gordon film.
I love that movie.
I hate that movie.
I've never
I
watched
need to
that
bring
movie.
crackers with that cheese, but I love the movie.
It is all the cheese, but you cannot deny the feeling of just fun when they play the Hawkman charge against the rocket ship Ajax.
Do I do it, Mike? Should I do it?
Yeah, better do it.
Hawkman dive!
Yeah.
Golden's alive.
Flying blind on a rocket cycle.
He's amazing. But anyway.
Yeah. I try to encourage fun in my games.
Has anyone ever?
I used to like that movie until everybody started liking it, then they wouldn't shut up about it, and it was everywhere. And I have this like absolute just dislike of things like that, and it just kicks in, and I'm just like, and it annoys me now.
So just for record, you like things until other people like things, then you don't like the same things that you used to like as other people like them.
I like things until they become, for some stupid reason, super fucking popular all of a sudden years later, and then people who would have never gone to see them or rented them in the first place never shut the fuck up about them. So, how did this happen with Flash Gordon? Fucking Seth MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane.
He mentioned
Seth MacFarlane is a big fan.
And Ted, it was a big
Flash
thing.
Gordon and of Sam Neill, and he had him in one of his movies. And Seth MacFarlane is a genuine fan of the property. So
absolutely. But all these fucking Family Guy type people that are just like, they're like the fucking visitors that visited us during COVID for role playing, the tourists, whatever we call them. And they made it everywhere. No one shut the fuck up about it. And I had it right there. Done. Finished. Good. So I'm glad they hate Crow. I'll never have to not love Crow.
Now, see, I would have thought it was the Queen soundtrack, but maybe that goes back too far.
I love the Queen soundtrack. I also love the Queen soundtrack for Highlander.
Yeah, same here.
It's a real shame they never made any more Highlander movies.
Was mentioned in the
I agree.
In the Freddie Mercury biopic. I would have thought they would at least mention that they did, fucking movie soundtracks. But anyhow, so except for one of us, we all picked movies. Although you could maybe say Darrin Drader did books too, because he was talking about movies from books. But I picked a movie because it went first, but I can get inspiration from nearly fucking anywhere. I ran an entire plot arc that was inspired by Toothopolis from the Crest commercials in the 70s and 80s. I have read a fair ton of shit based off heavy metal, both the movie and the magazine, because when I take my inspiration, anything I don't want to highlight from the original source, I just change or ignore, right? I would not necessarily, for every group, want to have all the main characters be chainmail bikini or less clad, but the basic plot and ideas behind the Tarna section of heavy metal, the idea, in fact, of someone who is a city that has a Pact of the Guardian who, if she can't save them, will just kick the ass of whoever killed them, that's a hell of a gameable idea, and I'm not going to ignore it if I happen to not think some element of it is appropriate for whatever story I'm wanting to tell or whatever story playground I want to put out for the players.
Also, speaking of heavy metal, boobs.
Sometimes that's what I want to include, and sometimes it ain't. But my point is, just because they're there doesn't mean I have to highlight them. The movie does that just fine.
I tend to play with adults, so nudity does often come up.
Hey, the Daring and Dread campaign setting, I picked a few pieces that are a little risque. I don't feel bad about it.
It's for home gaming. I'm happy for absolutely anyone to do absolutely anything that everyone at the table is okay with, and not even necessarily happy, just okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have had a number of occasions where I am specifically being paid by someone to run events at conventions where I'm told to have a PG or PG-13 rating in what I'm running.
Mhm.
So it is often the case that I am very specifically shooting for a younger audience, even though I think the youngest person I currently game with is me at 55. So at home games, no big deal. But if that is not what I am being paid to provide, I'll still take inspiration from anywhere.
So, I think I want to do. We want to give away. Who do we lose?
We lost Bear.
We lost Bear.
There we are. Hi. Yeah, we're having a snowstorm here, so I guess my internet decided to go.
Ooh, fun.
I've got your spot at the top of the row now. Haha.
Enjoy it. Listen, I would say something mean, but I love Mike, so I'm not going to say it.
Please go back and watch previous podcasts where Bear's on my show, folks. I'm laughing right now.
Well, you want me to say it? Okay. Well, that just makes you king shit of Turdland. Enjoy. See, Mike, if you leave it the fuck alone, you get your Christmas gift. If you push it, well, lump of coal, buddy.
You get me a Christmas gift? What are you going to get me?
I was going to be nice to you tonight, but now that's off the table.
Oh, so is there like a preliminary period in our conversations where you're going to be nice to me and then I cross the invisible line?
So you were born on the you were born on the other side of that line. You know that. You well know that. All the years of Canada abuse have just built up a deep, dark, black spot in my heart.
Loving abuse. I love everything about your homeland. I love moose.
Yeah.
I love Europe. I
love moose.
Is that the wrong plural? Should it be meese? I don't know.
No, you're fine.
I like police when they wear red.
Oh, our cops don't wear red, you moron. Jesus, Mike. You're not winning any allies in Canada with this. You just see it.
Hey, we occasionally have moose in our neck of the woods as well in Eastern Washington.
And then you shoot them.
We don't shoot the moose. I don't think you can get a tag for moose in Washington.
No,
I enjoy where you got certain words. I think it's charming and quaint.
Is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Say about.
About?
I like that. That's awesome.
Out? About?
I've been to Canada.
I'm sorry. Hang on.
I loved it every time.
Allow me to say it the way. So I worked on a film one time in The Americans, and the girl came over to give me. She was, I'm the dialogue coach. I said, hey, what's that for? She goes, well, it's just to make sure you don't sound Canadian. I said, oh, so you don't want me to say out and about? You want me to say? Yes, you don't want me to say out and about. You want me to say out and about and up on a roof? And she went, oh, okay, you're good. And she walked away. And I was like, great. It's a shame that we pronounce letters. I know. What were we thinking? Wow, crazy. Now, are we going to continue the Canada abuse or get back to the topic, Mike? What's your choice?
So you can pick up Darrin's setting. Darrin and Drader's game. And here's what I'd like to do, guys, is send me an email at mikelaugh@gmail.com with the phrase giveaway in the subject line. We're giving away viewers one copy of Valorous and one copy of Darrin and Dread 5th edition. So
nice.
But is it a print copy of Valorous?
Well, I'll tell you what. No, we'll do this. Send me an email at zcomics@gmail.com with your best description of how retarded Mike looks, and the best entry wins a printed copy of Valorous. But it better be good, man. Like, this is a bunch of writers. It better be good.
Don't do something cheap and saying it looks like he lit his own fart and that's the explosion in the background, right? That's easy.
Yeah, exactly. He looks like an angry, inflamed human thumb. Not going to cut it. I want post.
That's some big talk from a guy with a head like yours, sir.
Yeah, this head will go right. Never mind. Namaste. We good? All right, we're good.
Actually, Mike, you look like you never quite got rid of that sunburn that you had.
Seriously.
Last summer.
Sorry.
You should really see a doctor about that. I'm not kidding.
As a man who has had the rarest skin rash known to man, when I was 9 or 10 years old. Rosacea is a pretty subjective thing. Lots of people suffer from it to varying degrees, and there are ways to take care of it.
He's our beloved lobster boy, and we'll just achieve him as
Oh
that.
my God, are we talking
lobster
about my skin condition? Is this what we're doing now? Well, furniture and now it's Jesus Christ, guys! All right.
Mike,
Yeah, I think he goes furniture.
If you want us on topic, you're going to have to do some hosting, man.
Skips the entire part in the middle where he was shitting on Canada. Yeah, just like we'll skip that part. It was just furniture and then skin condition.
I think I said I love Canada like 3 times.
I love your moose and the way you talk funny.
You know what South Park said? Blame Canada.
Blame Canada.
This is true.
And back on topic for heavy metal, you ever see their episode where they made fun of heavy metal and everything had nipples? That was hilarious. It was boobs everywhere.
That was a fun episode, yes. So we were talking about Darrin and Dread.
I'm still absorbing all the personal abuse I've received as I process this trauma.
Do you want to talk more about Darrin and Dread? I'd love to tell people about it.
Please tell us about Darrin and Dread.
Darrin and Dread. I came up with the concept for Darrin and Dread about 10 years ago, and never actually developed it into a full setting until more like a year ago. But it draws inspiration from sources like Lord of the Rings and Dragonlance and classic gaming. Meaning this is a place where you can take your classic D&D modules and set them without having any problems other than, maybe the rule set not being, not matching up. And what that means, more specifically is it's a setting that's about humans and elves and dwarves and halflings and half-orcs and half-elves, and not so much dragonborn and not so much tieflings and et cetera, et cetera. I'm going for kind of a Tolkien-esque flavor, or a flavor that would be familiar to somebody who gamed back in the 1980s and 90s.
So you're sort of a more gentle take on the OSR, response to modern gaming trends?
I think you could say that, and I've actually been interested in the OSR in the past. I've done a few design projects that were OSR, but at the same time, I think that if you look at the hardcore OSR group, there's kind of an underlying current of racism, which I don't share. So,
run beans. He's black, and tell him to run. In case the OSR shows up.
That is unfortunately something I've had to come to deal with, frankly, Lord of the Rings. It's like the only good humans in all the world are the men of the West. All other races of men, all of them are under the sway of Sauron.
Not all of them.
That's nice there, Tolkien.
The Frodo-Waith up north are not. The people of the Frodo-Waith are not under the spell. It's the Easterlings and the Southrons that are under the spell of Tolkien. That's it. There are other humans in the world of Middle Earth that are not under the sway of Sauron, but there are also humans within the West who are under the sway of Sauron.
It was a bad time.
Yeah. It was a horrible time with people doing horrible things. I mean, what are you gonna do?
But from my point of view, this points exactly back to what I was talking about with taking inspiration, right? There is objectively a ton of cool shit in Lord of the Rings. And if you're looking at the Lord of the Rings and you say that is coming off as racist to me in a way that I do not wish to duplicate, then fucking don't. Sorry.
Exactly. I'm with you on that one, Owen.
Grab what you want, right? There are dwarf rings that are mentioned in the Lord of the Rings for like 15 seconds.
Yep.
And even I have spoken at some length at literal Tolkien scholars, John Ratliff, for example, who give talks at academic gatherings of people. And I said, what happened to the dwarven rings? And he's like, they're not clear on all of them. One is lost to dragonfire and another one seems to go into the ocean. Okay, great. So there is a place where I can do anything I want with that inspiration. I could even do that in the Lord of the Rings setting, were I so inclined. Or I can go, I'm going to do the Rod of Seven Parts. It's a classic D&D adventure. I'll do the Rod of Seven Parts, but I think that's too boring, so I'm going to have each rod have some sort of evil influence that has influenced a group. So I'm going to just blatantly steal what the Nine Rings do because I think it's cool. I'm going to slap it on the Rod of Seven Parts, and it's only safe if you put all 7 parts together, which is why you're fucking doing it. There is no reason when doing inspiration to feel like you are handcuffed to the parts of any inspiration that you don't like. Now, does that mean that someone may come along and say, I see that you thought that all of the costumes of fascists were cool, so you made your good guys look like fascists. Doesn't that mean you're pro-fascist? And just be aware that if we are claiming that what we are doing has any value, then it is open to critique. And be aware of what impression you may give people. But also be aware that you get to do that. It's to me, it's just like the freedom of speech thing. You're allowed to say whatever you want, and you're allowed to react to however people react. Fair?
And also keep in mind that the only people who are going to argue with you are attention-seeking nimrods who want to show you how clever they are and what they learned at some class in university or they read online in some article, and they're not invested in anything. They're not out there fighting for human rights daily because orcs might represent something they don't like. They're just basically throwing their bullshit opinions at you because they can. So the secret is to go, ha, cool, and ignore the fuck out of them.
Yeah, I agree.
That is the secret.
For note, I actively disagree with Bear and even Darrin on this point. It's something we've talked about before. But to another point, it doesn't matter, right? I have run into people that I believe are genuinely invested in the possible impact of things like, is orcs being listed as evil in a monster manual a issue with racism, including people who have been bullied out of games as a result. But the core issue that we're talking about is inspiration. And I personally, for the people I game with, I simply avoid the shit that is going to upset these people because they're my friends. My wife does not want me to describe the warmth of the guts of the puppy that just standed on the landmine as it splatters across her face. I know her real well. I can upset her with that description. So I just don't do that. You're in control of the game. You don't have to get into anything that people don't want to deal with.
Yep.
There's
a lot of
I feel very, very uncomfortable with puppy guts, but okay.
Well, right, exactly. So if I discovered that you felt uncomfortable with puppy guts, I wouldn't put them in a game.
Yeah, but here's the difference, and I'm going to say this really, really bluntly because I want to make it blunt. I'm an adult who knows how to control his emotions for the most part and knows how to go, this isn't about me. Therefore, I don't need to then go, Jesus, Owen. Now, I'm not your wife, clearly. I mean, that's a different relationship. Well, but as a player at your table, I'm not going to stand up and go, I can't believe, and get all pissy about it. I'm just in my head going to go, maybe I should have a conversation with Owen offline about this later.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be clear, my wife never did that. It's just that I happen to know it makes the event less fun for her. I don't want to make the event less fun for her. There's no need. And when I do something that someone doesn't like, I am gaming with the same people I was gaming with 40 years ago. We've rubbed off some of the sharp points so that our personalities mesh more smoothly. And if I make a mistake somewhere, when I had cancer, at one point, there was a plot line that a friend was running a game in where someone got infested with an alien that was inside them and trying to kill them. And after the game, he went, oh, it never occurred to me that you are literally fighting a being inside you right now, and that you're taking chemo and you're doing radiation and you feel weak and crappy and you may not be at your strongest emotionally. So if that bothered you, I'm sorry. And I went, I appreciate that. Didn't bother me at all, because I like to think of the thing inside me as a little fucker that I am poisoning and radiating and killing off. So for me, it was cathartic to get to stab one. I enjoyed it, but thanks for checking.
Yeah, that's fair. So unlike you, Darrin, or maybe like you, I don't know, the whole point of this is to get away. I've had literally my fill of grim, dark, shadow, edgelord bullshit
Yeah.
D&D.
Oh,
fantasy.
yeah.
I've hit my fucking limit.
Same
So
here.
I wrote Valorous, which was misidentified by someone as Paladin, the role-playing game, which I thought was hilarious. Where the whole idea is that you're good guys and you're noble and you're heroes, and your whole point of existing is to make the world. The world's kind of shitty. It has to be, because it has to give you something to fix.
Yep.
It has to give you something to strive against. If it was all Disney happy fairies and elves, it would be pointless. But it's not, Paladin, the role-playing game. There's room for flawed heroes, but there's no half-orcs. There's no playing a goblin. There's human, dwarf, halfling, gnome, elf. There you go. And the majority are humans. The majority of everything in the game should be human because it's a human kingdom. But I am literally tired of murder hobo bullshit. And I can always judge someone when they start asking me questions. I can judge what type of gaming they do when the questions they ask me about the game. Well, where's the fly spell? Where's the fireball spell? Well, what if my character wants to rob a guy? It's like, well, then go play fucking D&D. This is not the game for you if you want to be that. This is the game for you if you're like me. You're sick and tired of all the ugly. You're sick and tired of all the lack of heroism and the selfish, self-serving, get the bag bullshit I see in D&D, or not in D&D, but a lot of fantasy these days. Conversely, if you're in the Wizards of the Coast camp right now, where everything's a fucking party in the town square, not the game for you either. There are bad people doing bad things. The monsters are evil because they were created by an evil being. They are not misunderstood. The goblins aren't mad because you colonize their homelands. The goblins are shit. They're monstrous little creatures who are wicked and kill people because that's what they do. And we're not getting into the politics of them, or we're not getting into the identity of the elf. Just fucking play the game, man. Like, I'm so tired of everything else in games. Go ahead. Sorry, Jake.
No worries. My only issue with Valorous, given your agenda for making a heroic system that is not grimdark, is the fact that in your references, you have put in Berserk.
Yep.
Which is a freaking grimdark setting.
Yep. But have you made it all the way to the Fantasia part?
I can't watch it.
And that's why.
It's too freaking grimdark.
Read the manga. It's all about fighting the grimdark. It's all about overcoming the darkness. It's all about fighting the evil that's around you that seems to be completely taken for granted by everybody in the setting.
I can't stand
the thing is, I think that if you look at Game of Thrones, which is grimdark, you could make the same argument that it's all about fighting the big bad, even though the people fighting the big bad are the lesser bads. They're all scumbags. They're all pieces of shit. That's why I don't enjoy Game of Thrones. There's not really any characters in that I can, identify with and enjoy it with, and enjoy aside from the Hound, who himself is flawed, but in ways I appreciate.
So in books, you'll notice I didn't.
I don't like the boys. I need a hero, and Berserk doesn't have a hero.
Yeah, it does, but that's neither here nor there. You'll notice I didn't put Game of Thrones in my Appendix N. I did put the Hedge Knight, though, because the Hedge Knight, the Knight of Westeros series, is literally a good person fighting against the bad around him all the time and trying to be better, right? And that's the thing. But I also put in Rat Queens, because there's stuff in Rat Queens I like. The point of the inspirations is that I'm not trying to create a lollipop guild world where everyone just is happy and gets along and hugs. No, it's a shitty world that just finished a 10-year civil war that's ended in a détente, and it's a kingdom only. That's all you're looking at is one kingdom. And there's evil afoot, and that evil is there. And Berserk has a lot of really good material as source material or ideas or inspiration, as Owen says, for things like infernal churches and the abuse of darkness worship and how armies can just devastate entire civilizations. Well, you're dealing with a civilization that's rebuilding from a 10-year civil war. There's going to be stuff in there that I can take and I can use for it. Now, if it's not for you, I get that. That's okay. But again, surface level versus deeper level for me. Berserk on the surface, yeah, it looks exactly what you're saying. But when you read it, you see what's going on, which is it's about the struggle of good versus evil and the temptation of man to use or be tempted to use evil to try and destroy the evil it's fighting. So it's a different beast.
I mean, and I just want to mention a tiny URL for the print version of Valorous. You can go
thank you, boss.
I'm a professional. tinyurl.com/Valorous Print RPG.
Some of what we're currently hitting on speaks directly to how different people react differently to different inspirations, right? And that's going to be a thing, and you kind of have to just deal with that. That if you say, hey, I was inspired by this, like if you say, hey, I was inspired by Game of Thrones, my first thought is, okay, political intrigue. There's a lot of good political intrigue ideas in Game of Thrones. My first thought is not, hey, the only decent characters executed at the end of book 1. Because of course there is a decent character, Ned Stark, and it gets him killed. And that's okay. I take away something different from you. I also think that's why it's really useful. I love listing inspirations. I think it's great. For one thing, it's one of the things I look at when I'm thinking, oh, I'm enjoying this person's game that they've written. I enjoy playing it. If they've got an inspirations list, that gives me a list of things. If I haven't read it or looked at it, well, there's a better chance I'll enjoy this than some random thing that has 500 reviews, half of them written by bots on Amazon, right? I don't know any of those people. This is a specific real human. He wrote a thing I liked. I should at least check these out. But I also think it's really important. You know, Bear makes it very clear what Valorous is about. And it's not just, if you crack open Valorous and start to read it, it is kind of explicit what this role-playing game is about, because he has all his inspirations and then he says, this is what I have done. So I do think it's important. I have run into people who make elevator pitches that are always things like, this elevator pitch is Death Race, but with chariots. If you say that to me, I have a very specific idea. And if you mean this is a Roman fantasy setting where there's an evil emperor, and one of the things they do as part of their gladiatorial things is send guys with scythes on the sides of their chariots through the streets, and there is a rebellion trying to stop that. That is not what I get from Death Race with Chariots. So I think you've got to be careful that when you're listing various inspirations, you also have, and both, in my opinion, Darrin and Bear have done a good job of this in their games. You are pretty straightforward, and you say, this is what I want you to do with this game. I just recently made a post where I said, not everyone likes ice cream. Not everyone likes chocolate ice cream. Not everyone even likes dessert. If someone is trying to serve up something you don't like, as long as they have clearly marked it, if you then take it and don't enjoy it, that's not on them.
Oh, yeah, agreed.
If you're in the mood for fried livers and they give you great ice cream, don't bitch at them because it's not fried livers.
Absolutely. Once you get past the glossary in Valorous, you get 2 pages of why I wrote the game, what the game's about, and what heroic role-playing is. And if you read that and then still want to be a murder hobo, wrong fucking game, buddy. Move on. Find the other game that works for you. But I also like to say, Jacob, I also list Willow as one of my inspirations in my appendix set. So, I mean, you know, the scales are balancing. Berserk, Willow, in the middle,
Berserk,
Witcher. You know.
Berserk and my personal tastes in that regard were the only disconnect I was having with what you had listed.
No, that's
because
fair.
you know I saw what you were going for with the book when I read it. It's like Berserk, really?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Ultimate Goblin Slayer. I think you know.
Do you?
I didn't really enjoy Goblin Slayer either.
No, and a lot of people didn't. But the thing is there is stuff within Goblin Slayer that inspires me. I think I put it. Did I list the anime? Yeah, Record of Lodoss War, Goblin Slayer, and Berserk. I listed them. There's stuff within all of them that inspire me.
Yeah, there are absolutely things that I have seen or read that I did not like, but that gave me inspirations. I have often said that bad movies are better for inspiration for me than good movies. Because if I'm watching a bad movie, my brain is constantly going, no, that is a stupid way to handle that. I have a better idea. No, that is a dumb plan for them to come up. They should have tried with this. And so watching a bad movie, I am more likely to come up with ideas.
Well, I'm a huge Corman fan, right? Like I just, and the reason I like the Corman stuff is not because it's good. It's not. And not because it's secret genius, because it's not. It's that they tried. And you can feel it, that they were doing what they thought was their best effort at the time to get this product out and do what they could. And behind the scenes, you all the story. But then I watched that remake or that new Deathstalker movie they just put out. 2025, where they had a whole bunch of money from fan raising and all that, and it has zero of the Corman charm to it because they're trying to make a bad movie. They're not trying to make a good movie and failing. They're trying to make a bad movie and still failing. But as a result, it's like trying to make a funny movie that isn't funny. You know what I mean? Like, it's just...
It's one of the reasons I like things like Corman's work is that I felt like they never stopped and said, we can't pull this idea off.
No.
So the ideas are there. And if the ideas look awful, well, that doesn't matter. I'm not going to show people a clip of this film when I do this encounter with the giant octopus that's going to attack them, and you can literally see people wrap the octopus limbs around them, right? Which is Ed Wood, not Corman, but same concept, right? Believe it or not, I've run a game based on Plan 9 from Outer Space because a plan to create undead to conquer the world has some interesting value. It was halfway between Plan 9 from Outer Space and Life Force.
I'm sorry to say, so basically what you're saying is future events such as these will affect me in the future. Is that what you're saying? Because if that's what you're saying, I'm impressed.
I mean, I also like the card game. It's got the card Good God, It's Radioactive. I'm trying to remember what the name of the game is. The objective is to make an atomic horror movie with the cards. And the cards are cheesy and funny. And we had a great time with them. But if I was inspired by that to try and run GURPS Atomic Horror, I would not try to spread the cheese on like that, because the value in the one is specifically that we're all laughing at it. And if that's not the effect I want, then my inspiration should be molded appropriate. Inspirations are ingredients. And as the chef, you need to know how to put those ingredients together in a way that makes the thing you want to make.
I'm just double checking if I put it in there for my films. I did not put it in for my films on this one because I felt it was a little, like, A, people wouldn't understand it, and B, it was just a little, thing for me. But, one of my favorite fantasy films, and I say fantasy despite it being presented as post-apocalyptic, is 1984 Sandal Bergman's She. And not because it's a good movie, but because the plot is such an adventure story. We're in point A. Something bad happens, and someone's sister gets kidnapped by bad guys who head up the valley. We now must go up the valley, having these weird encounters each step along the way, some of them with people who believe they are gods and have extraordinary powers. And then at the end, we'll fight the main bad guy and hopefully liberate the stolen girl. That's a great story. That's a really, really good story. And bless their hearts, they tried the best they could with the movie they made. I love the movie. It's charming in its cheesiness. It's charming because they tried. And that doesn't prevent you from finding good inspiration in bad executions. Nothing wrong with that at all. And sometimes it's even easier because it'll make your brain, like Owen said, go, oh, come on, no, you should do this instead. Bam. Now you've got your inspiration. Run.
She has in it a immortal duplicating Popeye the Sailor. That guy.
Doing a Robin Williams impersonation.
And I can't take that scene seriously, but I can look at it and go, what part of this is to me like a train wreck? I can't stop watching it. I was entertained by it. But is there some nugget here of an immortal duplicating warrior that is almost just like the humanoid version of the classic Hydra, right? You whack him and there are more of him. Can I take that core idea and do something else with it and maybe not have it be Popeye the Sailor? Now, again, for She, that's part of the charm of the whole thing. I adore that movie. But it is another example of a movie. Bear's right. It has a great core plot and a very gameable plot. It's very much, here is a series of challenges, and you have to go through them to accomplish this goal, which is important to you.
No.
I have said that sometimes there are days that all I want to do is kill ninja and stop orc invasions, right? Some days that is all I'm in the mood for. And I very much want, or punch Nazis, right? Same basic concept. I want some black and white morality because all I'm in the mood for is to bounce dice and hear that I have done a good thing. Other times I am perfectly happy playing a lawful neutral character trying to figure out how to keep the faith with his lawful evil lord while going through a complicated brand of heroism where I am surrounded by good characters and there's always a somewhat constant question, do we trust this guy? If that's the game that is being put in front of me, I can enjoy that, but it's a very different game and I have to be in a very different mood to do it.
Fair.
Think about with fantasy especially, I mean, genre gets a lot of criticism for being retrograde and for too many people trying to ape Tolkien, but it almost seems like we're doing variations on variations, which is fine. But I mean, you kind of there's so many different flavors all coming from a single source. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For example, I don't know if you guys have read this. It's a series of books now. Our friend Walt Billiard hates these. I don't think he's read them. It's defined as cozy fantasy. I don't know if that's fair because there's a fair amount of sword fighting and violence in there. But this orc has gotten sick of being an adventurer, and she has a chance to quit and open a coffee shop. And that is the book, and it's a lot of fun. Travis Baldry is the narrator of the audiobooks. He's very talented. There's a lot of humor in there, but there's a fair amount of action and adventure too. But there's so many different races. Her girlfriend is a tiefling. Their bakers are ratkin, and I mean it's cool to have those touchstones from fantasy games, but it's almost like those racial differences that would make a kind of a big deal in real life mean nothing. I mean the fact that she's an never.
So the question of how big a deal it would be is one rooted in more than just real life, right? If we get to a point where there are 116 races and absolutely no place has more than 10% of one species, you may well end up with a cantina scene where it's just accepted that the empire is 5,000 years old and it has had 108 species in it ever since. At that point, it's not necessarily a big deal, but it is a very different setup. There are a lot of people who enjoy slice of life anime, right? Anime that is just about unusual people, often just living life. And that's fine. Like Bear said, those people should not be playing his role-playing game. That's not what it's there for.
So for me, and it was important for me for Valorous to do this, was to make sure that the origins, races, the species, the sentient beings had cultures, had differences. They had things about them that made them them. Because one of the things I cannot stand in modern fantasy is the Planet of the Hats human non-humans. It's the Waterdeep Mos Eisley Cantina effect, where basically, let's go to the Elvish Bakery and get some scones, and then head on over to the Gnomish Tavern and do some karaoke. And it's just like, if they're
eventually
humans, make them humans.
Exactly. Eventually, you've got nothing but humans, and they look weird. And it's not even Star Trek. It's just it's all very sameness, dressed up as diversity, which it's not.
It's not. It's absolutely the antithesis of diversity. It's just.
And this is another place where I disagree with you all that is inevitable and the only way that can be played, or even that it is necessarily a bad thing. But I do think that there are people that don't want that in their games, and I have no problem with people making games like that for those people.
Yeah.
One thing I'm going to say is that I did the Elven Nations Vendrosa as a setting supplement for Daring and Dread. And I put in the introduction by Whisperfoot the half-elf, who is your narrator throughout, this journey through Androsa. And the one thing that he says is that the elves are racist bastards. He doesn't dress it up. He puts it out there right there front and center. And that's something that you need to understand about the elves and about the dwarves and about the humans. And this is a human-centric setting as well. So I think that I think it is important to have those cultural differences. And I think that ultimately, even racism between fantasy species is not the worst thing in the world. It sets up conflict. It sets up areas where people of these different groups have to try and get together, rather than, I can just walk down the street and see 5 elves and 20 halflings and everybody's playing basketball. You know what I'm saying? I like that. I like the fact that not everybody's just perfectly integrated and happy.
I agree with that. And I agree with that for the simplest reason of tension builds story.
Mm-hmm.
And tension allows story to go. And it's far more interesting to me in a story, in a movie, in a game, to have someone's character or an NPC or a character in this film who's from a non-human society have a non-human reaction to something. And then have to have your human protagonist or your human players go, wait, you're okay with that? and then just go, yeah, what's the issue? No, I don't see it that way. Like Owen when he says, I don't agree with you guys. Well, I don't agree with you guys. I see it this way instead. But why? Because that's the way it is. And you don't have to get into deep politics, and you don't have to look for, you can just have it. And it's fun and it's interesting. When everything, like we were saying, when everything is just another human with a different set of ears, why bother? Just make them fucking humans.
Well, why bother is the same reason that we've got all the different species in Star Trek, right? Because even if there are a great number of similarities, there may be important differences. But also,
yes,
you might well have a group of players where someone wants to be a dwarf and someone wants to be an elf and someone wants to be a lizard man, and none of them want to deal with any background racism. They want their people to be able to invite each other home and not have to deal with it. And
that's fine. And they're more than happy to play it that way, and that's their choice. And fucking WotC has them covered right to the tits, which the Dragonborn have. So they can have all the fun with that they want.
Yes. Now, whether or not Dragonborn should have mammaries, since they're not mammals, is a different question where I will go to a somewhat different place. Although, if Dragonborns turned out to be mammals and just look like lizards, because, the platypus exists and it lays eggs, I would suddenly be more okay with that.
My point is that
I will state what I did back in 4th edition when the first Dragonborn woman art was posted that had breasts, and people were complaining that, what if I don't want Dragonborn with breasts? What am I supposed to do now? And it's like, if you are not smart enough to say that in your game Dragonborn don't have breasts, then you need to pack up your books, sell them off, and find a different hobby, because you are not smart enough to play this game.
Just conversely, Jacob, have you
the whole
met
point
a lot
is
of people?
creativity. You get to make the world what you want of it.
What shocks me about this is that when I got into gaming in the 80s, you could go to any fanzine or Dragon magazine or Alarums and Excursions or White Dwarf and find variant rules that everyone just nodded and went, that's a variant rule. I will use it. I won't use it. And yes, occasionally you would run into an idiot or an asshole who would flip out. I remember I had an entire D&D group dissolve because the GM allowed Cavalier Paladins from Dragon magazine in the game. And that meant that the people playing fighters felt like they were now useless and they didn't want to play because they didn't want to be a Cavalier Paladin. They wanted to be a fighter. And I was playing a dwarf fighter, and I was not useless because the one thing I could do that a Cavalier Paladin couldn't was stand wherever they weren't. I was the least effective character, but I was not a detriment to the party. And I had fun being a grumpy dwarf, constantly Cavalier Paladins full plate. Oh, man. Just bitching about it without being angry at them. That was just the world. But somewhere along the way, I feel like the mainline gaming culture moved away from these are options and we get to pick the ones we like. And I personally feel like it happened when Dragon magazine stopped being in print. Now, I don't necessarily, I know why it stopped being in print. I know why it went electronic. I'm not saying it was a conspiracy or even that it was the wrong business move. But there was a time where there was an official source of alternate material every month. And I really felt, and D&D, of course, is the 500-pound gorilla. Wherever so goes it, everything is influenced either positively or negatively, right? If you were a great big Masquerade fan, you were still being influenced by what D&D did because a lot of people tried to do the exact opposite. So it just seems like a ton of people stopped accepting that these are tools and you are using the tools to build a thing and you get to decide what thing you build.
So one of the things I wanted, and like you were talking about Darrin earlier about your stuff being a harken back to the 80s and 90s role playing. Well, you remember back in the 80s and 90s, whenever you bought a game, it had a setting attached to it. So it was Traveler 2300. There was a whole thing to it. Cyber World had a whole thing to it. That's what I wanted here. I wanted that again. This is not a generic toolkit for you to run your fantasy campaign in. You can. You'll have to do some tweaking because there's some very specific magic rules in here that are related to the setting and as a result tie to it. But I wanted to create a setting with rules based and attached to it so that you're playing that game. You don't like it, go play GURPS, go play D&D, go play a ton of other things, right? But I also, and I get a little bit of shit for this, not much, but a little bit. But I like to refer to D&D as baby's first role-playing game. Look at that. It's all the dragons are color-coded for you. You got your class that tells you exactly what you can do and what your niche is. And, oh, you get up a level, ding, here's a cookie. But if you go play BRP or you go play any other type of game where you don't have those handrails and those guardrails to get you through the game, you start having to make decisions. You start having to think about your character beyond a class. You have to think about, well, why would my character be good with the sword but also know how to lockpick? You have to make choices, the kind of choices writers make when they create stuff, the kind of choices actors will make when they're playing characters. You're gonna have to make decisions as opposed to having it all just spoon-fed to you out of a yogurt cup. And that's why whenever I hear the arguments we're talking about Dragonborn tits or this variant rule or that variant rule, it's always D&D that they're arguing about it in. It's never Call of Cthulhu. It's never Star Trek. It's never West End Star Wars. It's always D&D.
Yeah, Star Trek.
So many arguments.
Judge, the arguments.
I got a death threat for writing the wrong list of the Executor Super Star Destroyer.
Okay, I'm not. That's not an argument. Oh, and that's not an argument. That's a fucking psychotic person with too much access.
But that's because that was the huge argument amongst Star Wars grognards at the time. How long is a Star Destroyer?
But that's not a role-playing
that was
system
everywhere.
Argument.
It was on message boards. People
argument.
were writing into the magazine. Star Wars Gamer had to tackle it.
But that that is a lore argument. That is not a system argument. That is not a mechanics argument, which is what the D&D people argue.
It is a mechanics argument because that determined whether it was a gargantuan colossal starship, and that.
Oh, for dear fuck! Okay, one example. Jesus Christ! The point is that the generalization counts.
I wrote for 3 Star Wars role-playing games. There was at least as much bullshit argument, people not taking things well, as there has ever been for D&D.
I disagree completely on that.
Star Wars fans in general
do it for 50 years almost.
Star Wars fans in general are much more toxic, much more nitpicky,
I agree.
Much less accepting than D&D fans will ever be. And I've worked for the Star Wars fan club, so I know this firsthand.
I'll give you that. But again, you guys are in the thick of it, right?
Yeah.
I don't, as an outsider who wasn't writing Star Wars material and therefore being the target of the toxicity, I just get to watch the regular levels of toxicity that happen on X and happen on Facebook and happen on Reddit, the cesspool of the internet itself, a wretched hive of scum and villainy. And I'm telling you, I don't see Call of Cthulhu fans railing against shit the way D&D fans do. I don't see Star Wars fans doing it.
But I'm just saying it's not just D&D.
No, but I'm saying D&D's the fucking worst. And I'm usually when there's these arguments happening, it's
D&D. I have been in the thick of Star Wars. I've been in the thick of Pathfinder.
Okay.
And D&D is not the worst.
How many YouTube channels out there are doing panel shows arguing about the rules of Star Wars? How many are arguing about the rules of Star Trek? How many are arguing about the rules of Call of Cthulhu?
That is not because those
lion's share of them arguing about D&D. Therefore, D&D wins because that's the one I'm seeing the most of.
Owen, I'm curious. In your experience, what is the worst fandom?
WWE.
Pathfinder First Edition organized play.
Oh, so D&D.
Okay.
And I've never said that out loud, and I could get hate mail from friends for it. But there was at least a period where that literally ruined lives.
Wow. Okay.
Friendships were broken. People moved to different states because of the shit going on in some areas. Because it was when you give non-professional gamers power over other gamers, you have to have a very careful system to make sure they don't become petty dictators. And the vast majority of Pathfinder First Edition were beautiful people. This is very much a case of if you put 99% sewage and 1% wine in a cask, you have sewage. If you put 99% wine in a cask and 1% sewage, and you tell someone that, it's sewage. They're still not fucking drinking it.
Sure.
I do believe it was fixed. My experience with late stage Pathfinder First Edition, some people got in there and did some really hard work. Linda Zayas Palmer and John Compton and a lot of people. But there was a period where it was so bad that I, as a professional paid gamer who could make more money if I knew the system better, would not touch it.
Fair enough. I gotta tell you, the worst gamer stories I've ever heard have been from late '90s vampire live-action role-play groups.
Oh, I remember those days. But yeah, but the difference was people were getting laid at least.
That makes a lot of difference.
That did offset a little bit of the toxic bullshit. You know what I mean?
I think some of the toxic bullshit was from the people that weren't getting laid.
Well, yes. Yes.
We just solved the mystery of the internet.
Okay, and that's it. We're done. We don't need to say
Thank you for
another
attending
word.
our TED Talk.
Honestly, given the time, I think that is the best that and go by Valorous and go by
Darrin's
Daring
stuff.
Dread. Yep.
Daring and Dread. Yes.
Daring and Dread.
Yeah. So there's Valorous Print RPG, tinyurl.com/Valorous Print RPG. You can get it on Amazon. tinyurl.com, Daring and Dread game. Go buy Darrin's game. And although Baird probably doesn't want you to buy it in PDF.
No. Actually, if you buy the PDF, that's a good thing to do because two of the people in the company get royalties off of that. So when you buy it on a PDF, you're giving money to an editor and a proofreader who busted their asses. So worth it.
At least buy the PDF, but don't you really want both? Fans, look in your heart. Don't you really want both the PDF and the print book?
Because, PDF's easier to carry around. Put it in your tablet, take it to the game.
I like having both if I'm actively using it.
But there's
Yeah.
nothing like
I'm-
having a book in your hand.
And I'm going to say this now, and I'm going to find a way to announce it to everybody. If you buy a print copy off Amazon and send me your proof of purchase with blank out shit if you have to from Amazon at zenithcomics@gmail.com with your Drive-Thru-RPG email, I will send you a free PDF of the game because you bought a print copy, because Amazon wouldn't let me give you a PDF with the book. That was the downside. The upside was you didn't pay $80 fucking shipping to Australia. So
There is one other thing I want to say because I feel it's important. More than once in this session, I have carefully mentioned that I strongly disagree with Darrin and Bear. But I respect Darrin and Bear. I like Darrin and Bear. I think Darrin and Bear are good creators. I am strongly of the opinion that intelligent people can strongly disagree on things. And if those things are about how long an orc's ears is or how long a Super Star Destroyer is, rather than who gets human rights, who gets executed, if they're about hobbies, then I think we can get through that. Or at least I can.
And I would like to say in response to that, I agree with you on that 100%, Owen, but I'm also Gen X, and I think most of us here are. So I must have done that with, go fuck yourself. Who gives a shit what you think? Shut the fuck up, because I'm Gen X, and I have to do that.
No.
It's in the
fair,
contract.
Bear. The answer, it's entirely fair. I'm Gen X too, and Bear, fuck you. I'm on the same fucking show you are.
Exactly. Go fuck myself. I totally agree.
To answer a question that came up earlier, and to give myself a little bit of self-promotion, I will absolutely draw breasts on a deep one if you support my art by going to patreon.com/Jacob Blackman, JACOB BLACKMON.
So here's one of the secrets of getting artists to draw what you want. Contact them, pay them. There may be cases where that doesn't work, but in the vast, I have literally had new creators trying to do things come to me and be like, how do I see that these people have all this Jacob Blackman art. How do I get art from Jacob Blackman? And I'm like, well, contact him and offer to exchange money. If you want memories on a snake. If you give him money, he'll put them there. If you want memories on a D20, if you give him money, he will cover this thing in boobs.
I would like to point out
I
two
did memories
things.
on a snake for Book of Passion.
I would like to point out, if you want memories on a snake or a D20, I'm going to recommend the RCMP or the FBI check your hard drives, but that's just a me thing. Secondly, I will say this about Jacob, and I know Darrin and I have discussed this type of thing before. One of the few artists in the world that I've given money to who hasn't immediately fucked me over or underdelivered the product in a rush because they were not professional. So go Jacob. Hire Jacob. Jacob did the lovely cover for Valorous. It's very nice. It's very nice. It's very nice. And this is his anime sort of, cartoony style. He has lots of different styles. Like I'm on his Patreon, and I love when I get these little emails from him of new pieces. So I look at it, I go, I got to pay him more money next time because I need stuff that looks like that on my covers. You know what I mean? Like he's really talented, guys. Go give him the money.
I've been Jacob for covers for years, and I'm glad no other publishers have discovered how good he is at covers because he's usually available when I need him. So
Jacob is also really good at
double-edged sword, though.
Jacob is really good at doing sketches, so you can see where he's going and say, "Oh, I didn't mention that I wanted the shield to be a heater shield shape, but I really did." And he'll be like, "Great, here's a different sketch with a heater shield shape." Oh, yep. I didn't really want a symbol on the shield. Great, there's no symbol. Okay, we've gone through 3 changes in 8 minutes. He's also fast, folks. Now it's what I want, and he can draw do the actual line art, and then I see the line art, and then he'll do the colors.
And if you want boobs on a heater shield,
if you want boobs on the heater shield,
if you want boobs on a heater shield. And the other thing is he's really good at communicating. So great. Yeah. I swear to God, that is like almost become like worth the price of admission for me with an artist. You communicate. Oh, I'm very interested in you now. Stick figures, you say, but you're communicating. Oh, continue. Could you put boobs on that stick finger, please? Thank you. Very good. Thank you. Like, it's crazy.
You just draw a number 8, but sideways. Never mind. Hey guys,
thank you all for the love.
You're not working on my next project, Mike.
Is it going to be boobs on a stick figure? Because I would buy that game.
Jesus, you are the Corbin of role playing. I swear to God.
You say it like it's a bad thing, man. All right.
I mean, I could see doing a game specifically about evil baron swashbucklers and calling it Six-Fingered Men.
Oh, Jesus, that's a Mike idea if I ever heard one.
Hey, folks, thanks for checking out the Banff podcast. We do conversations like this every once in a while. Check us out next week. We'll be talking about something else. Thanks, everybody. Have a good Saturday night.
Bye.
Thanks for having us.